And Deke, the great thing is I'm going to be laying down most of the time today, believe it or not.
That's fantastic, because I'm not going to lie, since I was in the Marcus Institute on Thursday and Friday doing all these stupid tests that like literally irritability tests, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just haven't had a minute to relax like my brain since. So
Okay. Well, it'll still be a challenging class, but we're not going to be like getting up and standing at all. We'll actually like be on our stomachs and our backs most of this class. So
rad.
cool, man. All right. Just to show you something cool before we get started in just 1 minute. This first pose that we're going to be getting into is called Hero's Pose. Basically what it is you'll come onto your shins, right? And you'll actually sit down on your heels. But a good variation to do that, to take a lot of that pressure off of the knees and a lot of pressure off of the hips. I like to take a block or two, take my blanket, put my blanket over the top of that block, put my knees on the edges of the blanket, and then just sit back, and I've got full support, and I'm still getting that nice stretch where we're looking for in our quads. That's not accessible for you. You can always grab your bolster that we've been using and also just sit down with the knees out wide and sitting back onto the bolster. All right. 1 more minute. Okay. Hello, Alita. I didn't see you come in. Welcome. If you did not hear, we just need two blocks, a blanket, and a bolster if you would like one. All right.
Okay, Collin, I am super challenged with sitting on my heels. I'm so tight across my knees.
Okay.
That even with my bolster under my rear, I can't sit.
Okay. If you would like that variation, you can grab a chair or just sit down on your butt instead, with just the bolster or the blanket underneath you if this is too difficult for your knees.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's my
right. Your quads.
They're so tight.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't been able to do this since I was a kid.
Yeah. If you would like, you can always sit down in the chair and just pull your feet a little bit farther back. So if you're sitting down, right, you can pull the feet just a little bit back and still get a little bit of a stretch there. In your.
Well, I would like to get past this at some point, but nothing I've done in 2 years of yoga has enabled me. So
yeah,
I might need just a class on my quads.
All right, perfect. If you do want to come to just a gentle seat, that's fine too.
Let's see what.
So if this pose is too intense for your quads, for your knees, for your ankles, feel free to come out of this pose and just go into a seated position. It is a pretty difficult pose to get into the very start of a class. But for those who would like to, please use it. All right, we're going to get started. This is week 6 of the 108 Sun Salutation series. For those just now joining, my name is Collin Yarborough. I'm a 200-hour registered yoga teacher and certified yoga teacher with the Veterans Yoga Project. I just finished my training this year and super excited to be teaching with veterans, teaching with VYP. We're going to get started. Today's class is not Sun Salutations, as I was kind of talking about earlier. It is a class geared towards support and strength. And today we're going to be focusing on an area that I think we've been really avoiding throughout our class series, and that's our low back and our midline back as well. So we're going to be strengthening up our mid back and our low back today. It's not scary, I promise. It's going to be a very fun class. All right. So coming into our nice seated position, you can either have the eyes closed, palms can be facing down on your knees, palms can be facing up. And again, if the hero's pose where your shins are against the mat with your feet are flat against the mat, it's too much, you can always come back into a seated position at any time. And as we get settled into our pose, whichever variation you decide to take, you can either have the eyes closed or at a soft gaze. And we'll begin to bring our awareness to our general surroundings. So just outside of our mat, just outside of our area that we're practicing in, just bring some awareness to that space. Notice any noises without identifying them, just notice them. Just make yourself aware of those noises so they're not surprising in the next hour of our class. Myself, I have a dog. Sometimes he barks, sometimes he comes in and says hello. And you may hear a door open or close, but that's the only thing going on in my space. Begin to notice the breath as you breathe deeply into the nose, filling the lungs, and gently exhaling back through the nose. Noticing how the breath travels out of the lungs, up the throat, out of the nose. Noticing how the breath travels up the nose, down the throat, into the lungs. And tonight we'll be doing a 3-part breath for our breath practice. So we'll be doing our breath practice together to start, and then you'll move into your own. So meeting on the next exhale, so fully exhale. We'll breathe deeply in through our nose. And at the top, let it out with a nice big sigh out through the mouth. One more time, inhaling through the nose, filling the belly, and at the top, letting it go, exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose, filling up the belly, letting the belly rest, filling up the ribs, feeling the ribs expand, feeling the chest expand, and then slowly exhaling, letting the breath go. Inhale, fill the belly, expand the ribs, all the way up into the chest. And then slowly let the air travel back through the nose, starting at the top of the chest, the ribs, and the belly. I'll cue it one more time. So inhaling through the nose, filling up the belly, the ribs, the chest. Exhaling the chest, the ribs, the belly. And from here, doing 2 breath cycles on your own of that belly, ribs, and chest. Meeting on the exhale. Maybe the palms come together at the center of the chest. We'll set an intention for your practice today, whatever that intention looks like for you. And over the last 6 weeks, again, we've talked about intentions versus expectations. Intention today could be just showing up for yourself, letting go. Whatever that intention looks like for you, carving out an hour of your day to be here. Imagine that intention in the center of your chest. On the exhale, let the arms float down to the side. And we'll reach our left fingertips up towards the sky. And then gently leaning over towards the right, getting a nice side body stretch, maybe using the right arm for support here. Reaching through the fingertips as you extend the left side. Exhale, coming back to center. We're going to switch sides. So reaching through the right fingertips this time, high towards the sky. Maybe using the left hand down on the mat for some support. Exhale, reaching over to the left, extending that right side body. Inhale, coming back to center. We're going to do that one more time. So inhale, those left fingertips up towards the sky. Right fingertips can come down to the right. Exhale, folding over towards the right, extending through the fingertips, reaching like you're reaching for that top cabinet for my short people. Exhale, come back up. Inhale, right fingertips up towards the sky. Placing the left fingertips down on the mat. Exhale, over to the left, extending to that right side body. Inhale, coming back up to center. We're going to move into that tabletop. So our tabletop position is where our knees come underneath our hips. Our hands and our wrists come up underneath the shoulders. Play around here. Maybe shake the dog tail. Pressing through the hands. So noticing if you're rolling to the outsides of the fingers or the hands. Really pressing the hands down into the mat. We'll move into some cat-cows. So our cat-cow position, we'll move into our first pose. So we'll drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull the belly in, drop the chest or the chin to chest, pressing through the hands, rounding the back, pressing through the tops of the feet. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the gaze up towards the sky. Engage your core. Exhale, pull the belly in, press the hands, chin to chest, round the back. Inhale, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone. Exhale, pull the belly in, drop the chin to chest, press through the hands, tops of the feet. Then do a couple more here on your own pace. Whatever movements you need to do to warm your spine up today. And again, our our flow today is focused on our back. We've been working a lot with our legs, so I'm gonna give the legs a little bit of a break. When you're ready, find that neutral tabletop. So with the wrist underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. We're going to extend our right foot back so our toes are touching the mat, almost like we're pressing our heel back to the back of our mat, like we're getting ready to take off into a sprint. Sprinters, how they get down on their hands and knees before they take off. We're just going to rock back and forth on the toes. All right, we're going to start building up some heat now. So if it's in your practice, we'll start by lifting that back right leg up. So as we're doing this, focus on the inside of that right leg. As you lift that right leg up, we're flexing the toes. So our toes are facing down towards our mat. And then notice if you're rolling your hip out, so your toes are facing out, try and roll the hip down towards the mat. Notice if you're holding your breath here, engaging your core, and drop that leg back down. We're going to switch sides. So placing that right knee back underneath the right hip, we're going to extend that left leg out this time. Just press back onto those toes. Heel, press through the heel. Rocking back and forth as we wake up our glutes. All right. We're going to go ahead and move into that half bird dog. So really engaging that left leg. We're going to lift that left leg up, pressing through the heel like you're pressing away from the body, really reaching through the heel. Noticing if that left outer hip is rotating out, rotating it down towards the mat. Engaging your core here. Remember to breathe. And here, a reminder, it does not matter how high up it goes. We're really focusing on that quality of the pose. Go ahead and drop that left knee back down to meet the right. And we'll press back into a child's pose so you can widen the knees out towards the edge of the mat. Toes can come together, pressing through the hands as you drop the hips back towards the feet. And just hang out here for a second. Maybe you come onto the forearms, dropping the head down, giving those wrists a break. All right, coming back up into tabletop. So pressing up onto the hands and knees again. Placing those wrists underneath the shoulders. We're going to go ahead and extend that right leg back again, pressing through the heel. This time, if you would like to join me on this next section, we're going to be lifting the left arm and the right leg at the same time. So make sure that that right wrist is underneath that right shoulder. You got a good stable position. You're pressing through the whole hand. All right, here we go. Lifting that right leg up, pressing through the heel, rotating that right hip down towards the mat. Engaging your core, go ahead and lift that left arm if you would like to join me here. Remember to breathe, exhale, let it down. We're going to do it again. So go ahead and lift that left leg, or that right leg off the mat. Left arm comes up, pressing through the heel, reaching through the fingertips, engaging the core. Exhale, drop it down. We're going to press back into a child's pose. So pressing through the hands as you drop the hips back towards the feet. Coming back up to tabletop. We're going to go onto that left side now. So extending that left leg behind us, pressing through the heel. Again, if it's in your practice, we're going to move over. We're going to move our right arm off the mat this time with our left leg. So engaging that left leg. So all the way through the glute, the hamstrings, the quad. We're going to lift that left leg up, pressing through the heel. Inhale, lift that right arm off the ground, bicep by the ear, reaching through the fingertips, reaching through the heel, engaging our core. Exhale, lower back down. We're going to do it one more time. So extending that left leg behind us, lift that left leg off the mat, rotating that left hip towards the mat. Inhale, that right arm directly in front of us, reaching through the fingertips, reaching through the heel, engaging our core. Exhale, lower back down into child's pose. Knees can come out to the edge of the mat or they can stay underneath it. Good way to start the class. And a reminder that to meet yourself where you are on your mat today, you just need to show up and sit here and relax. Please do so. But I'm always appreciative of you just showing up. All right. Coming back onto that tabletop, we're going to walk the hands about 6 inches out in front of us. We're going to curl the toes. Pressing through the hands, we're going to lift the hips up towards the sky. Pressing down through the hamstrings, through the heels, downward facing dog. Head can hang heavy here, depending on your practice. Everybody likes to do something different. Some people like to just press the feet down towards the mat, or the heels, excuse me. Personally, I like to pedal the feet out. And what I mean by pedaling the feet out, it's almost like I press down through my heel as I bend the opposite knee. So I'm bending my right knee just a little bit, taking a little pressure off as I'm really pressing through my left heel. And then I'm just switching sides. So pedaling the feet out. Notice if your hands are you're putting all your pressure on the outsides of your hands. From here, we're going to move into a plank pose. So shoulders come over wrists. Fully extend through the body as you reaching through the crown of your head, and then lower the body down to the mat. Maybe you come onto the knees, chest, and then chin. Hands can be at the side of the chest. Feet come together. We're going to do a cobra here, so we're starting to warm our back up even more. So placing the hands beside the chest, we're zippering up the cobra. So feet can come together. We're engaging the lower body, the legs. And then we're just going to gently lift the chest on an inhale. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lifting the chest. Using the hands for support. Engaging those legs. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, cobra. So we're pressing through the hands as we lift the chest. Are the shoulders near the ears? Maybe drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale, release. Hang out here for a minute as you decompress the low back. Maybe place the hands underneath the head for a second. All right. Placing those hands beside our chest, pulling the elbows in towards the body. We're going to press up into that tabletop and move right into a child's pose. So inhale, press up onto the hands and knees. Exhale, we're coming down into a child's pose. So one fluid motion. We're dropping those heels or hips back towards the heels. Inhale, coming back up to tabletop. Exhale, lowering back down to the mat. Inhale, engage the lower legs, lift the chest, cobra, pressing through the hands. Exhale, come out of cobra. Inhale, press up, coming to that tabletop. So pressing through the hands as you lift the body. And exhale, down, and we're going to drop our hips down towards our feet, child's pose. Just a couple more times. So inhale, come up to tabletop. Exhale, lower down onto the mat. Inhale, engage the legs. You lift the chest, cobra. Exhale, come down. Inhale, press to the hands as you come up in that tabletop. And exhale, child's pose. 2 more. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, engage the legs, lift the chest, press to the hands, cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, pressing through the hands as you come up to the tabletop. And exhale, child's pose, dropping the hips back towards the feet. Inhale, 1 more. Coming up into that tabletop. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, engage the legs as you lift the chest, pressing through the hands. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press to the hands as you lift up into tabletop. And exhale, child's pose. Hang out here, 2 breaths. All right, coming back up into tabletop, meet in downward facing dog. So walk the hands just a little bit out in front of you. Curl the toes, press through the hands as you lift the hips, pressing through the heels and the hamstring, downward facing dog. Maybe you're doing that pedaling of the feet, pressing through the hips as you lift the hips up towards the sky. And coming into plank, so our shoulders are going to come over our wrist. And then we're going to lower down. Maybe you drop the knees first as you lower the chest. All right. Now we're going to move into the fun part. So this next pose series, I'm going to be building us up. It's called locust pose. It's a gentle back bend in that lower back and mid back and upper back. All right, so reaching through the toes, we're going to extend the toes all the way to the back of the mat. Tops of the feet are flat on the mat. For now, we're going to stack the hands on top of our mat and on top of each other, and then place our forehead down right there onto our hands. And if you have any kind of low back pain, you can still do back bends. You just have to be very, very, very careful. And I'm going to cue different variations for everybody to do whatever they choose to do tonight. So here we go. All right. So from here, we're going to practice what we did earlier. We're going to do that cobra again. So we're going to start with our hands down by our sides, at the sides of our chest. Except we're not going to press through our hands this time. So in the inhale, we're just going to lift the chest and just lift the hands just a little bit, engaging our core, pressing through the tops of our thighs. And exhale, lower down. If this is too much for you, you can always use the hands to assist you as you press up and support yourself. So we're going to do that one more time. So inhale, lift the chest, lift the hands, pressing down to the tops of the feet, engaging the core. When we engage our core, it helps protect our lower back as well. And exhale, lower down. All right. So now the arms are going to come down at our sides. So the tops of the hands are on top of the mat and our palms are facing up towards the ceiling or the sky. And for those who are joining me that are new, you'll hear me say a lot of outdoor terms. I work with kids in the outdoors and I have to learn how to switch that between veterans and kids. All right, here we go. So this time, as we inhale, we're going to lift the chest and lift the arms. Go as high as you need to. I don't really go too high. I like to protect my lower back and engage your core, pressing to the top of the legs, top of the feet. Exhale, lower back down. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the arms, engage the core, press to the top of the thighs, the top of the feet. Exhale, lower back down. One more. Inhale. Lift the chest, lift the arms, press through the tops of the thighs, top of the feet, and exhale, lower back down. All right. So we're going to place our hands back at the top of the mat on top of one another, and then we're going to rest our forehead down right there. In this next pose, or this next part of the series, we're going to be working on those back legs, or the legs. So we're going to be lifting the legs up one at a time, and then we'll lift both, and then we'll try and see if we can combine them all together. All right. So identifying that right leg, our forehead is still down on our hands. Identifying that right leg, we're going to engage the core. So pulling the abdominal muscles up and in towards our ribs, reaching through the toes, engaging that right leg as we lift that right leg off the ground. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be very high. It can be like 6 inches. Pressing to the top of that left leg, really engaging that core, reaching through the toes, and exhale, lower back down. Identifying that left leg this time, we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So engaging our core, so pulling that core in towards the body, reaching through the left toes as you lift the left leg off the ground. It can be about 6 inches. Doesn't have to be super high. We don't want it to be really high because that puts a lot of pressure on our low back. Reaching through the toes, really engaging those hamstrings, those quads, the glutes, or our butts, and exhale, lower down. All right, going back to the right. So reaching through that right toe, the right toes, engaging the core, engaging the leg muscles, lift that right leg off the mat, and exhale, lower back down. Switching sides, so inhale that left leg off the mat, engaging our core, reaching through the toes, and exhale, lower back down. Let's do one more on each side. Inhale, engage the core, lift that right leg off the mat, reaching through the toes, engaging the entire leg, and exhale, lower back down. Switching over to the left, so engaging our core, reaching through the toes, engaging the entire leg, and lower back down. All right. Take a few breaths here. We're going to attempt to combine it all together now. Defining your breath. So here in the locust pose, you can choose to do a couple different options. So you can either bring the tops of the palms or tops of the hands down to the mat beside you. So the arms are down at your side, top of the hands on the mat, the palms facing up. And you can either just lift the top of the torso. Another variation is you can just lift the legs without lifting the torso. And last one, we can engage the entire body and we're going to lift the legs and the arms. All right. So we're going to start off just lifting the legs, or I'm sorry, the arms. So we're going to inhale, engaging the core, lift the chest, lift the arms. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, engage the abdominal muscles. Reach through the backs of the feet, the toes, reach through the toes, engage the legs. You lift the legs off the ground just a couple inches. Exhale, lower down. Now we're going to combine it all together. So inhale, engage that core. Lift the chest, reach through the toes, lift the arms. And here you can either hold it or lower back down. If you're holding it, remember to breathe. Exhale, lower back down. We'll do it one more time. So inhale, engage the core, reach through the toes. Don't lift them yet. So lift the chest, lift the arms, engaging the legs, reaching through the toes. And exhale, lower back down. Go ahead and bring the palms to the sides of the chest. Elbows in towards the body. Press up into tabletop. Exhale, lower back down into child's pose. Here, go ahead and if you would like, you can always take the knees out wide. Toes come in. We're going to be here for 10 breaths. We're going to go ahead and move into a good cool down. Doing our child's pose. Pressing through the fingers. And let the head drop towards the mat. You can come onto the forearms if you would like as well. Finding our breath. We're going to move right into our cool down. So taking those nice, big, deep belly breaths. Down through the belly, the diaphragm, the ribs up to the chest, and slowly exhaling. Remembering your intention that you set at the beginning of class as we start our cool down. Not worrying about what's coming next. Three more breaths. Pressing through the tops of the leg, the feet, coming into that nice tabletop. And then we're gonna, in whatever way works for you, we're gonna come onto our backs now. So rolling to one side, coming onto the butt, and then lowering down to the mat, onto your back. Maybe here you grab the knees, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Just hug the knees. Maybe rocking from side to side. Massaging out the low back. Stacking. So we're going to be stacking our knees on top of one another as we twist. So we're going to be twisting to the right. All right. So we're going to drop the knees, having a knees bent at a 90-degree angle. We can drop the knees over towards the right. Left shoulder blade is still planted on the mat. Here, if it's too much strain in the low back at all, to have the knees stacked on top of one another, you can always cross the legs, straighten the legs out just a little bit, whatever variation works for you. And then with your right hand, you can place that right hand either on top of that left outer thigh or have it down by your side. And for those who are joining me, we'll be here for 10 breaths. But for those new joining me, you'll hear me saying a lot of variations. And I talk about this a lot, how every person's body is completely different in yoga. And I try and give a lot of different variation and cues when I teach. So please take whatever variation or cue works for you. And remind yourself that wherever your body's at, just meet it there. It's all good. The next 5 breaths, I'm going to leave you in silence as you cool the body down. I'm going to move our legs back to center. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and lift those legs back up towards center. Some slight engagement of the core. Maybe use that right hand to assist the legs to come back up. And just go ahead and hug those knees in towards the chest. You rock from side to side before we move over to the next side. Taking a nice big deep inhale, filling the belly. And on your exhale, letting those knees drop out to the left this time. Or whichever side you are twisting on. Extending that right arm out towards the right. Maybe placing that left hand on the knee for just some support. And if you'd like to go a little deeper, you can always turn the head to face towards the right, towards your fingers. We'll be here for 10 more breaths. And in these spinal twists, one important note to take is not trying to pull the legs towards the left. We're not pulling anything. We're just allowing the body to naturally fall where it needs to. And on Thursday, we'll talk more about those supportive and restorative classes and how we can use gear to support our body. And speaking of gear, again, if your legs are maybe hovering off the ground, you can always grab a blanket or a block and place it under the knees for some support. I'll leave you in silence for the next few breaths. Your next inhale, gently engage your core. Maybe use the left hand this time to assist the legs as they lift back up towards the center of the body. We'll hug our knees in towards our chest. One more time, rocking from side to side. And then if it's in your practice, we're going to move into what's called happy baby. So we can either take the peace fingers, so the index finger and the middle finger, and wrap them around the big toes, or grab the outsides of the feet as you pull the knees towards the armpits, and then pressing the feet away from the body. So pressing the feet into the hands, pulling the knees in towards the armpits. You're rocking from side to side, massaging out that low back. And exhale, let the right leg drop down first, still holding on to that left leg, or maybe holding the left knee. And then your next exhale, lowering that left leg down to meet the right. Move into our last pose, Shavasana, or corpse pose or resting pose. So making any small adjustments here. You can either stay in this nice resting pose on your back with the arms down by the side and the legs long, the feet dropping out to the outer edges of the mat. If you would like, you can always bring the feet, the bottoms of the feet together. If you decide to do this pose, I always offer placing some blocks underneath the knees for some support. So this is a bound angle pose or a butterfly pose. Or maybe you have a rolled up blanket underneath the knees to take a little bit of pressure off the low back. Whichever variation works for you. I'm going to come into a seated position. So taking up as much space as you need in this resting pose or Shavasana. Begin to breathe deeply into the belly, to the ribs, all the way up to the top of the chest. Slowly let it out, back to the nose. letting go of the chest, the ribs, and the belly. I'll be moving us through a body scan. After the body scan is finished, I will leave you in silence for the remainder of our class, and then close our practice. I'll bring you back when the time is ready. Beginning at the top of the head. Relaxing the forehead. Relaxing the skin around the eyes. Relaxing the cheekbones. Relaxing the tongue, the jaw. Relaxing the throat. Relaxing the right shoulder. Relaxing the right elbow. Relaxing the right wrist. The right thumb. The right index finger. The right middle finger. The right ring finger. The right pinky finger. The right wrist. The right elbow. The right shoulder. Relaxing the chest. Relaxing the left shoulder. Left elbow. The left wrist. The left thumb. The left index finger. The left middle finger. The left ring finger. The left pinky finger. The left wrist. Relaxing the left elbow. The left shoulder. Relaxing the chest. Relaxing the ribs. Relaxing the belly. Relaxing the hips and the pelvis. Relaxing the right thigh. The right knee. Relaxing the left thigh. left knee. Relaxing the ankles. Relaxing the toes. I will leave you in Shavasana for the next few minutes. And I'll gently bring you back when it's time to close our practice. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing your awareness back if your mind has wandered. Begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes, making small movements in the body as you slowly wake yourself back up. Maybe rolling the wrists, rolling the ankles. Rolling onto one side of the body, placing your arm underneath your head and maybe stacking the knees, coming into this fetal position. Taking a moment here to not worry about what's coming next, just slowing down. Using your opposite hand, pressing up, coming into a seated position at your own pace. There's no rush. Or if you would like to stay lying down, that's fine too. Keeping the eyes closed or a soft gaze. Palms can be resting on top of the thighs. Taking a moment here to give yourself gratitude, either for yourself or for someone else, for allowing you to show up on your mat today. We'll bring our palms together, the thumbs in the middle of the chest, remembering our intention we set at the beginning of our practice. Taking a nice deep inhale through the belly, slowly letting it back out through the nose. Drop our chin to our chest, bowing to one another. For everyone that showed up with us today, is doing the YouTube as well. Thank you all for coming. Thank each and every one of you for coming. That's week 6, Monday's class. Good job. All right. If you are interested in that yoga journal prompt, again, for those who are new, I give a prompt typically every week. Last week was free journal. This week, I have another prompt. So this week is, where is your focus? The journey or the results? So we're halfway through. Thought that would be a really good one. Where's your focus? Is it on the journey or the results? Again, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out via email or text or whatever way is best for you. We have class on Thursday at 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And that will be a restorative yin style class. So very slow. We're only doing like 4 or 5 poses total. We'll have a lot of gear that we'll be using as well. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out and ask, but that's all I have. Thanks for coming in.